I mean, you probably spent today trying to get smarter, right? Or maybe trying to advance your career.
Yeah, or just doing that classic thing of trying to, follow your heart.
Exactly. And as a driven learner, that is just your default operating system. That's what we're all taught to do.
Right, it's the formula.
But what if a really profound philosophical text from 2018 could prove that those exact three things, status, intellect, and emotional intuition, are literally the blueprints for a miserable life?
It's wild to think about. It completely upends the modern formula for success. I mean, we are taught from day one that working hard, acquiring knowledge, and honoring our feelings will lead to fulfillment.
Yeah, that's the holy trinity of modern advice.
Exactly. So suggesting that this exact trifecta is actually a recipe for profound, inescapable suffering is just a massive paradigm shift.
It really is. So just to be clear, today's deep dive is not about acquiring more data to cram into your brain so you can get ahead at work.
Right. Definitely not.
Think of this as a radical roadmap for unlearning. We are exploring a highly intense, deeply philosophical text written by Shefeng in July 2018. It is titled Prophet Fails Wisdom, Wisdom Fails the Heart Fails Nature.
Man, that title alone carries immense weight.
It does.
But the text itself, it tackles this fundamentally universal human experience.
Mhm.
It addresses the underlying exhaustion that so many people feel, but they just can't quite articulate.
Yeah, the core premise hits you like a ton of bricks right out of the gate. The author points out that human life is just incredibly short,
So short.
and it is packed with these massive ups and downs, separations, reunions. It is ultimately fragile. He actually compares human life to a bubble.
A bubble, yeah.
Like we go through all these frantic motions, and before we even reach the finish line, our bodies and souls are just exhausted.
It's really drained.
Right, and we collapse in grief and we sink into what the text calls a sea of suffering in the cycle of reincarnation. And the craziest part is we often do this without ever really understanding why we were suffering in the first place.
We just drift along in that bubble, getting tossed by the wind, completely consumed by the drama of our daily lives.
Yeah, the daily grind.
We are so busy experiencing the tragedy of it all that we never step back to examine the mechanics of the trap we are caught in.
And that is exactly what we're doing today. The mission of our deep dive today is to dismantle that trap. We are going to explore the three powerful, destructive forces that the author claims ruin our lives, leaving our personal, as he puts it, scene of blooming bleak.
Which is such a striking phrase.
It is. And then we are going to uncover the one hidden truth that can actually save it. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with how we usually try to protect ourselves from that fragile, bubble-like existence, which is the pursuit of profit.
Right. And the text states unequivocally, profit fails wisdom.
Yeah.
And it uses this incredibly vivid, almost cinematic imagery to describe the inevitable collateral damage of chasing it.
I love how the author describes looking back through the historical scrolls of time. You see all these great heroes, these charming, brilliant historical figures.
The people we usually idolize.
Exactly. And they are completely overwhelmed by the pursuit of profit. It leaves behind endless waves of tragedy and regret. He actually describes them being swept up like windswept clouds and literally crushed into the riverbed of human history.
Crushed into the riverbed. What's fascinating here is the absolute nature of the warning.
How do you mean?
Well, we tend to think of profit in a really narrow sense, right? Like a simple financial transaction or a paycheck.
Just making a living.
Yeah. But the text expands this to mean any self-serving gain, specifically power, wealth, and fame. The mechanism of destruction here is that the sheer gravitational pull of these pursuits inherently strips away our reason.
It creates an intense tunnel vision.
Precisely. When you are singularly focused on acquiring power or elevating your social status, your rationality just deteriorates. The text warns that this tunnel vision causes you to bury everything that actually matters. Like your kinship, your true friendships, your best years, your potential, and ultimately your precious life. It all gets swallowed in what the author calls a bottomless abyss of profit and desire.
Wow. I mean, I think about the hours I've personally spent agonizing over my LinkedIn profile,
Well, we've all been there.
trying to perfectly curate this image of a thought leader to boost my career status, and according to Zueffing, I'm not building a career, I'm just shoveling dirt on my own grave.
Preparing to join those tragic heroes crushed in the riverbed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we do have to point out a crucial caveat in the text. The author doesn't claim that the concept of profit is 100% evil in every single context.
Right. It's not a blanket condemnation. It really comes down to the underlying motive and the method of acquisition.
So how does he define the good kind?
The text outlines that profit is considered good if it is obtained by genuinely serving others.
Okay, serving others.
And it is considered complete if it is obtained by actual merit. It's the unearned, ego-driven accumulation that leads to disaster.
This is a vital distinction for anyone grinding away in modern hustle culture. It's not a mandate to take a vow of absolute poverty and move into a cave.
Right, no cave necessary.
It's more of an audit of your orientation. Like if you create a product or a service of immense value that genuinely improves people's lives and you are rewarded financially for that merit, that is complete. The trap is the blind accumulation of status just for its own sake.
Exactly. So if grinding for ego-driven profit inevitably corrupts us, the natural pivot for a thoughtful person is to retreat into the mind. Right.
Right. You think, okay, I'll just be smart.
Yeah, to abandon the material rat race and instead try to become the smartest, most morally superior person in the room. But Shuvang argues that retreating into the intellect is just trading a physical trap for a mental one.
And this brings us to the author's second major principle, which is wisdom fails the heart. Or, to phrase it another way, intellect makes the heart dim. Now, wait a minute. I have to push back here on behalf of you, our listener.
Go for it.
The text literally says that people who write books, people who teach scriptures, write long speeches, and sell morals and ethics are people with high intelligence, but their hearts are mostly muddled or dim.
That is what it says.
It argues that believing and following in their preaching is like walking into a desert to die. I mean, we are doing a deep dive right now to learn. You, the listener, love reading and analyzing. How can gaining wisdom possibly be a destructive force?
It feels like a massive paradox, I know.
It really does.
To unravel it, we have to look closely at the central metaphor the author uses. The text compares the human heart, or the mind, to a mirror observing the world.
Okay, a mirror. So a clean, polished mirror can perfectly observe the cause and effect of things in reality.
Right.
When that mirror is clear, it keeps a person's mind pure, their consciousness sharp, and their spirit energetic. You can see reality for exactly what it is, without distortion.
Exactly. The problem arises when that mirror gets covered in dust.
And what's the dust in this case?
In this metaphor, the dust isn't the knowledge itself. The dust is arrogance and pretension.
Oh, wow.
The text argues that as people become highly knowledgeable and intellectually sophisticated, they almost inevitably become arrogant. They become pretentious.
They start believing their own hype.
Yeah. They start to look down on others who haven't read the same books or grasped the same complex theories. That intellectual arrogance is the thick layer of dust that covers the mirror of the heart.
So the intellect is like leaving your car out in a massive pollen storm.
That's a great way to put it.
You might have built this incredibly powerful, high-performance engine of an intellect, but if the windshield is completely covered in the dust of arrogance, you are still going to crash your car. You can't see the road.
Right. When highly intelligent people become arrogant, their dusted-over mirror prevents them from seeing the actual truth of things.
They're driving blind.
They become deeply confused, they make flawed judgments, and they engage in terrible behavior, all while hiding behind an impenetrable facade of high intellect or moral superiority.
And that's why following them is so dangerous.
Exactly. Following their guidance is like walking into a desert because it is an illusion of guidance. It leads nowhere but to more thirst.
I mean, think about the absolute tidal wave of information overload you navigate every single day. You scroll through social media, you read the op-eds, and there's just an endless parade of experts preaching at you.
Constantly.
Dictating how to live, what ethics to hold, which long-winded philosophy is going to optimize your life. Consuming all those opinions rarely makes you feel clear-headed and energetic.
Rarely.
It usually leaves you feeling more lost, more anxious, and more confused, like you are just wandering around in a desert of hot air.
We constantly mistake the accumulation of complex thoughts for actual clarity. If that intellect is rooted in ego, it is just throwing more dust on the windshield.
So if wealth is empty and intellectual gurus are full of hot air, modern culture has this ultimate fallback advice, a phrase we've all heard 1,000 times.
Let me guess. Just follow your heart.
Exactly. Just follow your heart.
It is the ultimate, unquestioned modern mantra Do what feels right to you.
Well, the text delivers a third, pretty brutal reality check to this idea. It states, the heart fails people's nature.
This is perhaps the most challenging concept in the entire text for a modern audience to accept.
Because we love our feelings.
We do. We place paramount value on our personal feelings and our emotional truth as the ultimate arbiter of reality. If we feel it, it must be true.
But the author dismantles this by arguing that the heart, or the mind, is only born in response to phenomena, to the outside world. He writes, without the boundless universe, there would be no heart.
Right.
When a phenomenon occurs like a compliment, an insult, a beautiful sunset, a traffic jam, the mind is born to react to it. And when that phenomenon disappears, that specific state of mind dies.
It's completely transient.
Yeah, the heart is completely unreliable because it is constantly fluctuating based on random external inputs.
The text notes how incredibly rare it is to find someone who can actually change their external conditions using only the stillness of their heart.
Almost nobody can do that.
Usually, the external world jerks our heart around on a short leash. We have 1,000 conflicting things on our mind and 1,000 emotional knots in our heart, all dictated by whatever just happened to us 5 minutes ago.
Here's where it gets really interesting, especially if we look at this through the lens of modern cognitive science. We know now that our emotional states are heavily driven by temporary biochemical cocktails in our brains, cortisol, dopamine, adrenaline.
Oh, for sure.
And the text uses a very relatable human example to prove how fickle this makes us, romantic relationships.
The ultimate test of the heart.
Right. It describes two hearts that know each other. When they are in sync, they intuitively understand one another, they are madly in love, and the feeling is intensely real and feels permanent.
It feels like it will last forever.
But when those two hearts are separated or the external conditions change, they become what the text calls strange bedfellows. They might seem harmonious on the outside, but internally they are at variance. They had become entirely different entities.
The author asks a piercing question here. Who can actually be sure that their own heart will never change?
No one.
We know our own feelings fluctuate wildly from day to day, even hour to hour. If your own heart is guaranteed to change, how can you possibly base your life's foundation on the belief that someone else's heart won't change?
You wake up one day and you feel completely different about a career path, a city you moved to, or a person you committed to.
Happens all the time.
Using temporary biochemical feelings to make permanent life decisions is a fundamentally flawed operating system. You are trusting a compass that changes its magnetic north every time the wind blows.
Philosophically, the reason you can't trust it is because the heart is merely a reflector.
Going back to that mirror.
Exactly. Returning to that mirror analogy, a mirror only reflects objective reality. The reflection swimming on the surface of the glass is not the objective reality itself.
Right.
Therefore, the text argues, when we rely on the illusion of the heart to make our judgments, we are allowing ourselves to be entirely deceived by temporary phenomena.
Okay, so what does this all mean? We have just systematically broken down the entire foundation of how most people operate.
We really have.
If the pursuit of profit is a bottomless abyss that crushes us,
Yeah,
if intellect is a dusty windshield that blinds us,
right.
and if our deep emotional feelings are just temporary mirages reacting to random events, what is actually left? What is there for you, the listener, to rely on when you wake up and have to navigate your life tomorrow?
The text provides a definitive answer, and it serves as the ultimate anchor amidst all this chaos. The answer is nature.
Nature. And just to be clear, the author isn't talking about trees and birds here.
Oh, no.
He is talking about our fundamental intrinsic essence. He quotes an old proverb, it's easy to change rivers and mountains, but hard to change a person's nature.
Nature, in this philosophical context, is the original appearance of things.
The original appearance.
If the intellect is the dust and the heart is the shifting reflection on the surface, then nature is the solid, unchanging glass of the mirror itself.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
It is the unconditioned, absolute bedrock of who and what you are, beneath the desires, beneath the complex theories, and entirely separate from your sleeting emotions.
To back this up, the author brings in some absolute heavyweights of Eastern philosophy, starting with the patriarch Bodhidharma from the Bloodstream Sermon.
A major figure.
Yeah, and Bodhidharma is brutally direct. He states that if you want to find Buddha, which in this context means ultimate truth or true enlightenment, you absolutely must perceive your nature.
It's non-negotiable.
Right. If you don't perceive your underlying nature, then all the fasting, all the reciting of scriptures, and perfectly keeping all the moral rules is entirely useless.
Bodhidharma pushes it even further. He says that without the perception of nature, even if you can flawlessly recite and explain the deepest, most complex scriptures like the 12 classics, all you are doing is speaking demonic words.
Let's contextualize that for a second, because the 12 Classics represents the massive encyclopedic foundation of Buddhist philosophy and teachings.
It is the ultimate intellectual achievement in that tradition.
Exactly. And Bodhidharma is saying that mastering all of that massive data without connecting to your core nature doesn't just fail to enlighten you, it actually makes you dangerous.
It does.
It dims your spiritual consciousness. It makes you spiritually blind while convincing you that you can see perfectly.
It circles right back to the dust on the mirror. The intellect, when disconnected from that foundational, unchanging nature, just builds a stronger, more articulate ego.
A thicker layer of dust.
Yeah. The author then brings in the Buddha Shakyamuni to drive home just how illusory our normal, non-nature-based lives really are.
The Buddha points to the busy world we all live in. The crowds, the traffic, the networking events, the feasting, the revelry, the endless hustling.
The stuff that fills our calendars.
Right. We look at all that activity and we think, this is it, this is reality, this is what matters. When we are alive in the middle of it, our hearts tell us it is completely true and permanent. But then we die, and it all falls into absolute indifferent silence.
The text frames this as a profound existential tragedy.
It is tragic.
To be relentlessly busy for decades, only to return to emptiness. To live a whole life in a daze, reacting to phenomena, never knowing where you came from or where you're going. Buddha Shakyamuni says all active dharma are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, and shadows, like dew and lightning.
And when he says active dharma, he is referring to the phenomena of our everyday reality, right?
Yes.
The rules, the societal systems, the constructed things we interact with and stress over daily. He's saying your career ladder, your social status, your daily anxiety, they're all like dreams, bubbles, and shadows. Just a flash of lightning that disappears the moment you try to hold on to it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of the text, perceiving your nature is the only way to break out of that tragic cycle.
The only way out.
The author insists that once you have perceived your nature, your entire experience of reality shifts. It is the difference of heaven and earth. Melting into nature is eternity. Living in nature means reaching heaven, not as a place you go after you die, but as a state of being you occupy right now.
Because nature is the only thing that isn't a bubble. It is the only thing that doesn't change when you get fired or when someone breaks your heart or when you read a new philosophy book.
Right.
It is the solid ground beneath the riverbed of history.
Yeah.
So the practical question is, how do we actually find it? If we can't think our way there and we can't feel our way there, what's the mechanism?
The mechanism is subtraction.
Subtraction.
It's about stepping back into the role of the observer.
Yeah.
You watch the desire for profit arise, but you don't attach to it. You notice your intellect forming an arrogant judgment, and you wipe that dust away without acting on
You
it.
just let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel the biochemical rush of an emotion in your heart, but you recognize it as a passing cloud, not the sky itself. By consistently stripping away the reactions, the unchanging observer that remains is your nature.
To synthesize this entire deep dive into Shui Feng's ultimate conclusion, he gives us a 4-step command for living a life that actually means something.
So let's hear it.
Do not pursue profit. Do not show wisdom. Do not rely on your heart. Allow your nature to bloom.
Allow your nature to bloom. The author notes that accomplishing this, stepping out of those 3 exhausting traps and resting in your true nature, allows one to enter what he calls the realm of 8 without.
The realm of 8 without, which is a fascinating concept.
It really is.
It basically means transcending the binary constraints of human existence. Existing without birth, without death, without coming, without going. It's stepping entirely outside the cycle of suffering.
He describes it as the wondrous spiritual state of an immortal.
An immortal. Meaning you finally stop exhausting yourself chasing shadows and flashes of lightning.
This raises an important question, though, doesn't it? A question that requires real honesty when the noise of your day finally fades.
If you were to completely strip away your pursuit of status, your networking, and your desire for profit,
Right.
and if you were to quiet your busy, arrogant intellect, the dust. And if you were to stop letting yourself be dripped around by the temporary biochemical emotions of your heart, what exactly is the nature that remains underneath? What does your original appearance actually look like when the dust is finally wiped away from the glass?
That is the ultimate inquiry. If life is just a fragile bubble, the goal isn't to frantically paint the outside of the bubble with wealth,
No.
or fill it with complex theories, or obsess over every emotional ripple on its surface. The goal is to deeply know the quiet, unchanging space inside.
I want you to really sit with that question today. Next time you feel the urge to hustle for status or argue a point to prove you're smart or make a massive decision based on a fleeting mood pause, drop the hustle, drop the ego, drop the drama. Who is actually left?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep on learning, and we'll see you next time.